Who was behind him pushing, right?
I was the chief counsel for the Senate Investigating Committee during the period of time he was the chairman. I was, in effect, his counsel.
You know, I've had people come up to me, stop me on the street, not dead, alive strangers, who said, why do you have Roy Cohn on your television show? That man ruined people's lives. What are you trying to do with Roy Cohn? Now here, and I think a lot of people feel that way. In this book, you're pictured shaking hands with Joe McCarthy. Why are you the one man who's standing up, still defending him, when most people feel many lives were ruined during that period?
Well, I know I wouldn't say most people, Bill. You know, when you get, and I don't know what Mr. Vidal's experience has been, but when you get out of New York and when you get out of Washington, you get a totally different perspective. Because when you get into middle America, I don't think you have quite the feeling you have some places around here. You've got an intense dislike for communism and what it stands for, and you have a good deal of admiration for Senator McCarthy as a man who had the guts and the courage to stand up to this, to expose it, and to take the punishment that goes with that.
To that, the man who had the guts and the courage
to stand up to communism. Well, it was my impression that he was sort of a rogue senator who might just as easily have wanted to conquer Panama. I mean, you know, they look for issues, these people. Communism was not a very serious issue then internally. It never has been in the United States, but it's something that you can get people overexcited.
So did you hear that? Communism wasn't a problem then. This is a 40-year-old thereabouts interview with Gore Vidal. Gore Vidal, the ultimate sophist who loved to stir the pot to no good end ever. He had a burr under his saddle most of his adult life because he could never live up to Daddy. Daddy was a West Point grad, was a rather heroic chap, taught at the academy for a couple of years and coached football. And then he had Percival Pussycat, his little cutie pie son Gore, who couldn't live up to the family reputation. So what did he do? He attacked the nation that so honored his father. So he was a left-winger without a clue. But he was always there to knock anybody who stood up for America, like Joe McCarthy. Because now, 50 years and 60 years gone, we all know Joe McCarthy was a liar, right? When he said that Hollywood was infiltrated with communists and degenerates, what do you think Joe McCarthy and the people who wanted to lock him up for his accusations would say today in the wake of Epstein and Weinstein and all the freaky lefties that have done everything they could to destroy this country? I made a quick video yesterday talking about how Robert Vaughn, you know, the Magnificent Seven actor, guns a-blazing, but after the killing of Robert F. Kennedy, went on giving a sophomoric dissertation on how America is intoxicated and enamored with guns. Now, who the hell is he talking about? Robert Vaughn, who lived up in Ridgefield, Connecticut, with all those proper white folks of the, establishment in Connecticut. He spoke a good game, right? He stood up for the rabble, right? But you wouldn't have seen him down in Norwalk or Bridgeport or Stratford. He wouldn't have gotten near there. But as long as he was in Westport and Ridgefield and, he was okay. These people kill me. And, 30, 40 years, 50 years could go by. What Roy Cohn said about the flyover people, as opposed to Washington, New York, and L.A., that's 40 some odd years ago. This is the same discussion we're having today. The contempt of Washington, D.C. and libtard New York City for the people who build things and grow things and feed these scumbags, these dependents of urban society, that even when they burn their own cities down, they look to blame other people. So this is a great little marker of reference for how nothing changes except they get louder and more belligerent the more you prove how wrong they are, which is what I always said about lefties. Because you can't spell liberal without L-I-A-R. Inherently, they lie. It's their genetic makeup. They're the ones who said, if it feels good, go do it. Do drugs, go out and have orgies. And then they begat plagues on the world, and they blame conservative people for not stopping the plague that they create. Like their Chinese brethren in Wuhan. And no matter how many people, like that wonderful Chinese scientist who came out and said this lab in Wuhan weaponized this disease and unleashed it on the world on purpose to take out Trump and to destroy the West's economies. And not a word from Joe Biden. Not a word from our Congress and senators, because even McConnell makes a fortune off of China. You get to die, they get to live in ivory towers and mansions all over the world, and everything's good for them, right? They live behind 52-foot walls like the Vatican and Nancy Pelosi, but they tell you to mix it up among the rabble. Oh, and the Chinese communists unleashed a plague on your country. It's okay. Ask Nancy. When she's not eating chocolate ice cream, she runs down to Chinatown. These people are all traitors, and you know what we ought to do to traitors. And unless we wake up and start doing it, this country's finished. Have a good day.